Hello, and welcome back to another edition of Carrie's Gardening Channel. So today is September the 18th, and what I wanted to talk to you about today is my lavender plant here. Now, this lavender plant was started last year inside under lights, and I grew it indoors, and I did do a video and a complete playlist on these growing and how to start them from seed. Now, I did transplant this one out last year into the one flower bed, and I had a request to do a video update for how it's doing. So this one here is the true lavender here, and it did survive the winter here in Pennsylvania in zone 5B. Now, the lady lavender did not survive. It was doing really well over the winter, and then we later on, like I think it was maybe February or March, it got real cold and we had a late snow and it took the lady lavender out. So the true lavender, I can say, did survive for me. So it is winter hardy. Now you can see it hasn't grown too much. It did grow some. I had some stuff die out on it, so I did have to trim it back. I didn't do anything special with it. I didn't put any mulch down or anything like that. I just planted it in the ground, and you know, it had some from when the foliage falls off. It had some covering from that, but mostly it was on its own. I did do a video of it earlier when it still had snow on the ground, and you could see it through the snow that it was still going and growing. So I am growing some lavender in my greenhouse now. I got a Munstead lavender, which I'm trying. I've never tried that variety before. And I do have some, I believe, lady lavenders growing in there, because I want to see what the lady lavender smells like for the fragrance-wise. Now, the Munstead lavender, that's supposed to have one of the strongest lavender fragrances that you can get. And I believe it's supposed to be winter hardy. I'm not sure. I'm just growing it in the heated greenhouse, and because I want to see what they look like. So I just wanted to give you this quick update on how this lavender plant here is doing. Now, my lavender plants, I did germinate them in the greenhouse. This is the first year that I've had my greenhouse, so I wanted to see what I could germinate in it, how different stuff would grow. So I did try lavender, and it did germinate very well in the greenhouse. So I was really pleased with that. Used the same method, took the seeds out of the refrigerator, and planted them. And I just made sure to keep my soil moist. That was kind of a challenge because the greenhouse does get very warm and stuff can dry out pretty quick in there. So, you know, once I got that where I could keep it moist, they did germinate for me very well. I was very pleased with my results. Now, it still did take a while for them to germinate, and they still kind of had spotty germination, where it took them, like, some came up, I think, like 2 months later, because, you know, lavender doesn't all germinate at one time. So it's a plant that you have to be really patient with growing from seed. But I was pleased with the results that I got for the germination of it, and I'm looking forward to seeing them bloom. Now, one thing that you want to make sure with lavender is that you don't have it in soggy soil. You want to make sure that your soil is nice and well drained. And if you keep your herbs on the drier side, they'll have more of a potent fragrance to them. If you overwater your herb plants, it will wash like some of the fragrance out of them, or the flavor if you're for the ones that you eat. So you just want to make sure that you're not overwatering it and kind of keep them on the drier side. This side over here where this lavender plant's growing gets really good sun, and the soil tends to stay drier over here. So it seems to be growing very well, and it seems to be happy where it's growing at. Now, lavender can be a slower growing plant, so that's why it's not that big. And I can give it some food. Eco Scraps 555 all-purpose plant food would be good for it. Epsima Plant Tone would be good for it. I'll put some links down in the description for those. That'll help them to grow. But I have other stuff planted in here with it. Like back here is a lupin, and I have that growing back here. So I have to kind of watch what I feed this, because I don't want to give this for all foliage and then have the lupin absorb it in and then not bloom for me. So that is something that I have to watch because of how I designed this area. Now there are some weeds around that I do have to get out of there, but overall, you know, I'm pleased that it survived the winter. And I do have something else then to show you, is that I found the one day when I was looking at some of my planters. So we'll be right back. This right here is actually a lavender plant that survived the winter. There's like 3 or 4 of them in there. I think it's 4. And this survived the winter in this container from last year. And we had a very cold winter last year. I mean, it was really cold. And wind blowing. And I was really surprised when I seen this growing in here. I mean, this planter here, it was an old herb container that I never got to replant it this year. So the stuff just stayed in it. My chives are right here. And I was looking at it the one day, and I saw these plants blooming, and I thought, well, they look like lavender. And I, you know, rubbed the foliage in between my fingers, and sure enough, it's lavender. So I was really pleased and impressed that it survived the winter. So this is the true lavender here. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And it seems to be a very hardy lavender to grow outdoors in cooler climates. So I'm not sure what the zoning is on the true lavender, but here in Pennsylvania in Zone 5B, I can tell you that it did come back. And we had a lower than average winter last year for temperature wise, and you know, it did survive. This planter rarely ever got watered because, you know, I didn't think anything was growing in it, and then when I seen these, I started giving it a little bit of water. So I plan on planting these out then into one of the flower beds so that I have it, and I'll probably just put the chives with it. I'm not sure yet. I might take the chives out. But yeah, I was really surprised that, you know, it survived the winter. So if you like my video, please like, comment, subscribe. Please don't forget to hit the little notification button. I'll tell you when I put a new video on. Also follow me on Twitter. I have a link down in the description for my Twitter account. Thank you for watching, and hope you have a nice day. Bye.